Hey, it's Jeff Sauer here, co-founder of MeasureU.com, and today in this workshop, I want to share with you how to use the Meta Ads budget calculator. So let's go ahead and get into it. So inside the calculator, you'll notice when you download it, there's multiple tabs you can play around with and choose from, and I'm going to show you what each of these things do. And just like any good strategic project, the first thing you're going to want to do is start with the strategy in mind. Like, what is your strategy and what goals do you have from advertising? If you don't have a pretty good grip on why you're advertising in the first place or what you're trying to achieve, you're going to find that you don't really get very good results because you wouldn't know if it was successful or not because you haven't set a goal. And so this is something that you can do before you even create your Meta Ads account, before you spend a dime on Facebook or Meta Ads or Instagram, wherever you want to put these ads. Get an idea as to what success would look like, because knowing what success looks like is such a key and vital component to being successful. You know that if you want to get 80 leads, you're going to make decisions that are going to make it so you get 80 leads. You know that if you want $5 leads, you might choose different technologies, bid strategies, different models of going after things, different creatives, different everything, right? You're going to choose a different strategy based on the results you're trying to get. You know, if you're trying to aim for something that's really pinpoint and targeted, you're going to have different results than if you aim for something that's broad and trying to get as much reach as possible. So understand your strategy first, and that's going to help you go far. How many sales are you looking to get? What's your cost per sale? So I want to get 10 sales at $20 per sale. That's my goal coming out of this thing. Okay, what type of audience are you going to go after? What type of click-through rate do you think they're going to have, that they're going to come to your website? How many people need to go to your website? How many sessions are you going to generate? How much are you going to pay per click on average? Okay, and then that's going to ultimately give you how much you're going to spend. So everything that's in gold here, you can change it. So if you think that you want to get 100 and 200 leads, then with these other numbers, it means you're going to have to get a certain amount of people coming to your site in order to make that happen, right? So you're going to have to figure out what you're looking to do. Okay, so this is what your expectations are, what your goals are. Then you put in your real numbers. Okay, are you getting the results you're looking for? Are 20% of people converting? Okay, well then if 20% of people who come to your site convert, that means your actual cost per lead is going to be different. It's going to be $2.50. It means your cost per sale is going to be $50 when you're expecting it to be $20. So it's going to tell you it's not going to work if you do that. If you have these actual results, you're going to need to make some changes. You're expecting to get 200, then you ended up getting 900 leads, and so that's a good thing. So that's a positive thing. And so this is ultimately how you're going to come up with your goals and how you're going to understand what good looks like and what bad looks like. Total sales, we want 45, or we're getting 45, and we wanted 20, so we're above our target. So this, when you see this version, it's going to be in black, showing that we are in the black and things are working well. And this one's working well, this one's not working how we want it to be. We wanted that cost to be lower. And so that's ultimately how you set your goals. But the most important thing after that comes from going through and figuring out, okay, well, what about when I actually run the ads? What should my budget be? So this takes your goals and then it turns it into more actionable steps. Like, how much do you want to spend with Meta Ads? How much do you think it's going to cost per click? Now, if you have any existing data, then you can use that to hone in and put that number in there. So it might not be 1, it might be 2, it might be 50 cents. Use your existing data whenever possible. There are calculators from Meta that will help you understand what cost per clicks are. You can look at industry studies and figure out what it's going to be. A lot of it's going to be a factor of how good your creative is, how effective your overall ad strategy is, your targeting, even what countries you go after. So these are all going to be factors that you can guess or to start, but then you eventually want to consult your own data. What percentage of leads are going to convert into customers? 2% in this case. And this is for lead generation, as you can see. Okay, so that means that it's going to cost us $50 to get somebody to contact us, and then it goes over to your sales numbers. So if $50 per inquiry, 80 people contact you. If 25% of them are qualified, that means you only have 20 qualified leads. If you get a sales call with half of them, that's 10 sales calls. And if you're getting an average of 30% conversion rate, which is pretty common, that means you're going to get 3 sales from your advertising for that month. If you make $4,000 a sale, then that means, and your product cost is 50%, that means that you're going to be, every sale, you're going to be making a little bit of profit, $467 in profit. That means you have a good ROAS and a good return on investment. It's positive. Now, this one doesn't have a lifetime value field, but it could go up even higher if you had a high lifetime value for your customers. And this is incorporating product costs. So even spending on the product itself or the service you deliver, it's still profitable. Barely, but it's still making you money. And then if you add in lifetime value, that can be even better. The next thing we have is and as you can see, anything in gold you can change. The next thing we have is our profit maximizer. This helps you do some scenario playing to say, how much should I spend overall to try to reach my goals? So then we're just saying if you spend 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, and this will update as you put the numbers in there. So if we change this to 6,000, you can see this curve will update based on our numbers. Now, I'm not telling you what your budget should be. This is the whole point of doing scenario playing. But generally speaking, as you spend more money, your cost per clicks sometimes will go up. And the reason why they go up is because you find that you have to go and look at more different people. Like you have to open up your audience to more people, and that gets to be more expensive because the low hanging fruit will be the cheapest, and then as you try to find and open up your range, it's going to be more expensive. Your conversion rate might go down as well. However, there's times where your conversion rate goes down, but your overall revenue can go up based on your sales percentages and so on and so forth. So you can see we have, I adjusted the qualified lead percentage here, so we'll just make that uniform across so it doesn't confuse us. And we're not profitable at all right now, except for in this $4,000 budget. And then if we keep on going through, the reason why it's profitable is because our conversion rate is higher. So we have a really high sales conversion rate. Now, if you get 30% conversion rate, everything becomes pretty close to profitable. Now, as you notice here, the revenue goes up, but it starts to tail off. But then the costs go up, and the reason why is because we're saying that we're going to have a lower conversion rate and we're going to be paying more per click. Well, what if this thing just keeps on going and we don't pay more per click? Well, we're getting closer to profitable here. What if our conversion rate holds across everything, which is quite possible in meta ads? You might not have a drop off. Well, if your conversion rate holds, you're going to be more profitable the more money you put into it. So you should spend as much money as you can. And that's cool, right? That means that you can hone it on 2,000, and then there's room to grow up to that 15,000 or 100,000, whatever that number ends up being for you, right? So you want to put your own numbers in here to get the results. And so you get more profitable, you make more money as you put more money into it, which makes sense. That's the whole point of this, is that if you can figure out and crack the code of the small budget, this thing can scale up. And Meta Ads is one of the best platforms for scaling up. But obviously, if you can't crack the code at 2,000, I wouldn't be dropping 15,000 on it either, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a curve that looks like this, and your curve's going to be pretty ugly. And so why would you spend 15,000 when this is where you want to be in your optimal area? So it's something you can go back and revisit and play around with over time, because it's only going to get more clear and easier and better as you do this more often, because you're going to be using your own results. And so like anything, don't just take the numbers in here and think that they're going to be working for your business. This is examples, purely examples for demonstration purposes. I'm not telling you this is the ideal budget. That's for you to determine with your own data. Of course, if you're not sure, if you're using this thing and you're in our Measure You community, measureyou.com, and you join our free community, then you can ask the question, does this make sense? And then other people can use their experience to say if that makes sense or not. We have lots of mentors in our group. We have lots of experts in our group who are happy to answer your questions about your own situation and help you understand whether or not this is working for you. So make sure you tap into our community in order to get the results and the answers you're looking for, because it's just an easy way to do that. Okay, so that's how this all comes together and how you utilize this portion of the Profit Maximizer. The final thing I want to show you is that this also works for e-commerce. Now, generally speaking, with e-commerce, the properties are you might be paying a little bit less money per click. With your conversion rate, it might be a little bit higher than a lead conversion, or it might just be the same as your lead conversion. But if you're putting people through a funnel, then you make money every sale. You don't have to worry about people dropping off throughout the different scenarios because of the lead conversion rates and stuff like that. That doesn't matter because they're buying. If 2.5% buy, then they buy. And then you can say, okay, how do I get the average order value up? Maybe I add something like an order bump, which is a little checkbox saying I also want to add this to my order. Maybe 80% of people take that. Then you add an upsell. Maybe 20% of people take that. And you charge $100 for the upsell. Now you're adding to the overall value. Now every time that you make a sale, you're making $90 instead of just that $50 because you've added these stocking stuffers on there. What if you take it even further and say there's additional lifetime value? What if you think, okay, well, we're making only $26 every time we sell something? That's not that much. That's 40% return on our investment that we put into this, even when we factor in product costs of 20%. But if you add in that lifetime value revenue, then your lifetime return on investment is exponentially high. And so even if if it's exponentially high, maybe you lose money. Maybe every time that you sell something, you lose money because you're only charging $30. Actually, that's still making money, as you can see here. Maybe your conversion rate's 1.5%. Okay, we lose money every time. We lose $21 per sale, but on average, they bring in $200 more. That's still profitable. So your short-term return on investment's negative, but over the lifetime of that person, you're going to make that money back. And if that's something they buy it every month, or every month, and then they churn out after 10 months or something like that, whatever that ends up being, or every quarter they buy something, you get that money back pretty fast. And this is the reason why ads are expensive, because a lot of companies really understand lifetime value more than they understand the long-term value, and they're willing to invest in that. Versus a lot of short-term bootstrap businesses, they can't really front that lifetime value, and so they have to make ads profitable from day one. And they don't stick in the game nearly as much because it's really hard to make things always profitable from day one. But when you add in the lifetime value, you can figure out, okay, this makes sense. Now, it isn't great for cash flow, obviously, but it is good for long-term health of the business. And so it becomes a question of how much money can I sink back into the business through advertising, because I'm making a ton of money. It's just not returning it on day one. It might be on day 30, might be on day 200, might be on year 7, which I've heard is the standard for insurance companies. They float that acquisition cost for 7 years. Now, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just letting you know that there are different scenarios where it might make sense, and you might be unfathomable to you to really advertise when you see that you're going to be losing money on that first 30 days. But then you look at it over the course of 60 days, 90 days, and you're making money. That could change your business. And so that's where we want to play with this stuff before we run advertisements, because now we know whether or not we should keep on doing this or not. Now we know whether we're going to run into challenges or issues, or it's going to be something where we're like, yeah, I don't know if I really want to do that. Well, the answer is you probably will want to do it if the numbers make sense. And this is the only way you're going to figure out those numbers without wasting a ton of money. So that's the whole point of this calculator. The final thing we're going to show you is the same thing for e-commerce. We're going to do the maximizer, and it's just different scenarios, different budgets based on the numbers we use for e-commerce. So you can see where the sweet spot is. In this case, it's that $8,000 budget, but also make sure you understand with your own numbers and your inputs. Is that just, why is it that way? It's because I dropped the cost per click. Okay, well, that might be the reason why this is showing up that way. So if you put it at a reasonable cost per click, then that's not the right scenario. So again, use your own numbers whenever possible, and just pay attention to this thing pretty closely, because these numbers they have to be your numbers. They can't be the ones that I put in there, because I'm putting numbers in there just for demonstration purposes, just to do this demo. Okay, so that's you got to really pay attention to this stuff, and you can't just trust this blindly. You have to make it yours. Okay, and that's the whole point of this. And again, make this yours, and then bring it back to the community and say, hey, Measure You, thanks for the calculator. Here's the result I'm getting. What do you think? And that's where people are going to help you with their own experience, your experience, and you're going to triangulate that data. You're going to have your primary experience, you're going to have the calculator that Jeff created with his experience, and the community experience. That's the 3 things of the triangle. It's going to give you a strong foundation, and it's going to make it so that nothing can crush you, nothing can stop you, because you have that solid base. And so that is how you use the Meta Ads budget calculator. I encourage you to take your own copy, play around with it, have the time of your life, and then share it with us either by commenting on this video or by jumping into the community, the free community at measureyou.com, checking it out, playing around, understanding things, and telling us your success. So that's all. Thank you very much for watching this demonstration of our Meta Ads budget calculator, profit maximizer, the goal setting tool, and we'll see you inside Measure You.